Starstruck, The Cosmic Journey of Neil DeGrasse Tyson. Written by Kathleen Krull and Paul Brewer. Illustrated by Frank Morrison. Published by Random House, New York. Our universe began with what is called the Big Bang. After millions of years of darkness, stars exploded into being. Boom. Zoom ahead almost 13.8 billion years. The Hayden planetarium ceiling glowed with what seemed like millions of stars. 9-year-old Neil looked up with wonder. Out his window in the Bronx, it looked like there were only about 12 stars. Was this a hoax? A joke? He wasn't sure, but when the lights came on, he was starstruck. Neil started looking up whenever he could. Even though he lived in a building named Skyview, his view of the night sky wasn't very good. Bright city lights got in the way, so Neil used his friend's binoculars to study the moon over the Hudson River. And it came alive. He marveled. On a family trip out of the city, away from all the lights, Neil got his first glimpse at a real sky full of stars. It looked just like the night sky at the planetarium. Neil was hooked. He now wanted to be a scientist who studies the universe, an astrophysicist. Neil's parents weren't rich, but they did everything they could to help him. For his 12th birthday, they bought him books about space and a telescope. His mind began to explode with facts about the stars. The more he learned, the more he wanted to know. To buy a bigger telescope, Neil got a job walking dogs. Neil went back to the roof with his new telescope. Some neighbors were scared. Was his big telescope a rifle? Was he an armed robber? Sometimes they called the police. When the officers arrived, Neil showed them Saturn. He used his favorite planet's moons and beautiful rings to make the police starstruck too. But at school, Neil wasn't always an A student. And not every teacher was a fan. He laughed too much, and he spent more time having fun than paying attention. Then, one teacher saw that every single book report Neil wrote was on astronomy. She told him about classes for young people at his favorite place, the Hayden Planetarium. Neil was often the youngest person there. The classes were hard, but he wouldn't quit. Neil pushed himself to learn more and more. One day, Neil got invited on an amazing journey. Many scientists and writers were sailing to Africa to view a rare solar eclipse. At 14, Neil was the youngest on board. Working with the experts made him feel like a science superhero. Neil's extra studying helped him get into the Bronx High School of Science. He won all the science fair prizes, but he also liked sports and dancing. At 15, Neil went to a summer astronomy camp in the California desert. There were scorpions, spiders, and coyotes. But he loved being at camp. So far from city lights, the stars dazzled him. With his dog walking money, he'd bought a good camera for taking sky pictures. Neil shared those pictures at his first public speech. Being a teen, speaking to adults did not scare him. He was a natural. Talking about science was like breathing, and people liked his explosive excitement. Some people thought Neil should focus on sports instead of science, but Neil's love of science was like a tank of rocket fuel inside him. Every new fact he learned added more fuel to that tank. At the end of high school, many scientists knew about Neil. Even the famous astronomer Carl Sagan wanted Neil to come study at Cornell University, where he was teaching. On a snowy February day, Sagan himself gave Neil a tour. but Harvard was his final choice. At Harvard, he kept stretching his brain and his body, keeping fit while learning more about the universe. After 11 more years of study, he earned the highest degree possible in astrophysics. He was truly one in a million, a star. Neil kept looking up, learning and solving cosmic mysteries. Then, at age 35, he went to work at his beloved Hayden Planetarium, where his love of the stars had begun. Within 2 years, he became the head of the planetarium. Part of his job was to go on TV and share the latest news about space. He loved asking people, "Have you heard this?" In 2000, Neil and his fellow scientists decided that Pluto was no longer a planet. The small icy object was now a dwarf planet. Pluto lovers were upset. But Neil showed that science can change as new facts get discovered. Today, Neil deGrasse Tyson is a rock star among scientists. He loves to share what he knows, and he wants everyone to learn about science, space, and the universe. His hands wave and his fingers snap when he talks because science is exciting. Laughter bubbles up because science is fun. Neil has the power to make everyone starstruck. He'll never forget being a small boy having his mind blown under a starry dome at the Hayden Planetarium. And whenever he goes outside, he still looks up. Everyone should have their mind blown once a day. Neil deGrasse Tyson.